everyone. Welcome to Ridgetop Yoga Retreat. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Jeannine. Today we'll be doing an hour class, and it'll be an intermediate class. So if something doesn't feel right, or you're not quite sure if you're in the pose right, just come out of the pose and wait for the next one. Remember, this is your practice, so do what feels right for you today. We're going to start standing up in Tadasana, so make sure your feet are hip distance apart, ground down through all four corners of your feet. Maybe lift your toes up and then gently release them down to the mat. Engage your legs, pull your kneecaps up. Palms facing forward, roll your shoulders forward and back. Your eyes can be opened or closed. Elongate your spine, and then just bring your chin to your chest. And just begin to calm your mind and relax your body. Remember, this is your practice. Take a deep inhale in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your nose, trying to bring those shoulder blades back and down a little more. A deep inhale in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your nose. And one more deep inhale. And exhale. And take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead, palms facing each other, grounding down through your feet, reaching out through your fingertips, lengthening the spine, engaging your core. Then exhale, bring your hands to heart center, thumbs at your sternum. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice, you can do that now. And then take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and exhale, slowly release them back down to the mat. And now we're just going to bring our fingertips, interlace your fingers in front of you, pressing your hands towards the mat. Take your gaze down towards your hands. And on the inhale, begin to follow your hands up towards the sky, drawing a straight line with your nose up towards the sky. Have a slight back bend, slight arch in your back. And then on the exhale, slowly lower your hands back down towards the mat, following with your eyes. Match your breath to your movement. One more inhale, reach up, really pressing the hands. Lengthen the front of your torso, slight back bend, and exhale, slowly bring them back down. And now inhale, reach up. And on the exhale, just lean to your left. Your gaze is now straight ahead, pressing your hips out to the right. Inhale, back up to center, and exhale, right. Shoulders are stacked over each other, really pressing out through your hands. And inhale, back up to center, and exhale, slowly release your hands back by your side. Palms facing forward, bring your chin to your chest. And inhale, slowly roll your left ear towards left shoulder, and exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder, and exhale, chin to chest. One more round. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. exhale, chin to chest. Now on your next inhale, make a complete circle, inhaling on the way up and exhaling on the way down. Match your breath to your movement. And then we'll do 2 rounds in the opposite direction and meet back in neutral spine. And now we're just going to go into shoulder rolls. So we're going to inhale our shoulders forward and up, and exhale, bringing those shoulders back and down. Your hands are by your side. Inhale, forward and up. And when you're bringing them back, really try to bring those shoulder blades as close together as you can. And exhale, back and down. And then do 2 rounds in the opposite direction, inhaling back and up. Exhaling forward and down. Inhale and exhale. And then we'll come back to neutral spine. Maybe widen your stance a little bit and extend your arms out to the sides. Really engage your arms here. Reach out through your fingertips. Engaging your legs, pulling your kneecaps up. Engage your core and reach out through the crown of your head. And then slowly begin to make circles with your arms. And then you can make them bigger, just getting movement into those shoulders. Engaging the arms here. And then go in the opposite direction. Working the shoulders, working the arms. Engaging your core here. We'll be working on core a lot today. And then bring your arms to stillness and bend your elbows. Bend your arms, palms facing forward. Inhale and bring those shoulder blades back. Lifting your chest, lifting your heart. Exhale, bring the forearms and palms together. Inhale, opening, everything's engaged here. Exhale, bringing hands together. Inhale, opening the chest. Exhale, bringing the hands together. Match your breath to your movement. Next time your arms are open, leave them there. And now on the exhale, we're going to bring our right elbow under our left and bring the backs of our hands together for eagle arms. You can raise them up a little bit, feeling the stretch in the shoulders, and then lower. Inhaling up and exhaling. You can leave them just down if you want. You can leave them and just work on opening the back of the shoulders. Breathing in to the shoulder blades between the shoulders. And then inhale, release your arms, opening, bringing them back. And exhale, bring that left elbow under the right, the backs of your hands together. You can stay here. Really try to open up those shoulder blades, opening up the back, or you can raise them. You'll feel more tension as you lift, and exhale, bringing them down. Inhale and exhale. Then inhale, open those arms back up. Exhale, bring them forward. Inhale, extend them out to the sides, and exhale, release them down by your side. Now walk your We'll go into Tadasana, walk your feet in a bit. Take a few deep breaths here. And remember, this is your practice, so do what feels right for you today. Take a deep inhale, take your hands up overhead. Take your gaze up for a slight back bend. Turn your palms facing out and exhale, slowly come forward to forward fold. Keeping a flat back as long as you can. Put a bend in your knees for the first forward fold. Try to press those hips high. Put a bend in your knees to let you get deeper into the fold. Take a few deep breaths here. You can hold opposite hand to opposite elbow. Sway from side to side. Then release your hands back down to the mat. Take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, release. Now we're going to inhale, reach up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half lift, flat back. So whatever gives you that flat back, from your low back to the crown of your head, your gaze is looking down at the mat. You want to keep that spine as straight as you can and reach out through the crown of your head. Pressing your hands into your thighs. If they're pressed into your thighs, you want your shoulders and elbows in alignment. Or if they're straight down, you're pressing those hands into your shins, reaching out through the crown of your head. Pull your core in, pull your belly button in towards the spine. Take a few deep breaths here. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, release. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, come to your hands and knees. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrist and your hips are over your knees. Make sure the tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. Engage your core here. We're going to do a few rounds of cat-cow. So take a deep inhale. And on the exhale, drop your belly and take your gaze up on the inhale. On the exhale, tuck your chin and round your spine. Inhale for cow, drop your belly, take your gaze up, your tailbones, point it up, really arch your back here. And exhale, tuck your chin, pull that tailbone down towards the mat, round your spine, create space between you and the mat. Inhale for cow, drop your belly, take your gaze up. And cat, exhale, tuck your chin and round your spine. Match your breath to your movement, inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll meet back in neutral spine. And inhale, extend that right foot back, going on to the ball of the foot. And just gently rock back and forth, loosening up the calf. Pressing that left foot into the mat. We're working on core today, so engaging your core, working on strengthening the arms here. And then come to stillness. Raise that right leg level with that right hip. Engage your core. Pressing the top of that left foot into the mat. You can stay here or extend that left arm out in front of you. Thumb facing the sky. Your gaze is down. You're engaging the core, working on balance. If you want to add a dynamic movement, on the exhale, point your toes, really lengthen on the inhale, reaching out through your fingers and your toes. And on the exhale, round your spine and bring your elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. You're really rounding the spine to create space between you and the mat. Then bring your hand back down to the mat, your knee back down. Roll out that right wrist. Then inhale, extend that left foot back, going on to the ball of the foot. And just gently rock back and forth, loosening up the calf, the ankle, the foot. Your toes are spread. Engage your core, working on strengthening your wrist and your arms. Then come to stillness, pressing that top of the right foot into the mat. Raise that left foot level with that left hip. Your gaze is down, you have a straight spine. You can add that right hand out in front of you, your thumb facing the sky. Make sure you engage your core, working on balance. To add a dynamic movement, point that toe, reach out through your toes and your fingertips, lengthening the spine. And on the exhale, round your spine and bring your elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Working on balance, working on your core. Getting that fluid moving in the spine. Then bring your hand back down to the mat, your knee back down. Roll out that wrist, left wrist. Now we're going to go into thread the needle. So we're going to take a deep inhale, raise that right arm up towards the sky. And on the exhale, thread that right hand behind your left arm. Bring your right shoulder and right ear down to the mat. Your hips are still high. Your left forearm is on the mat. If it's uncomfortable here, you can put a block or a blanket under your head to bring the mat up to you. You can extend that left arm in front of you, or you can bring that left hand behind your back to open that left shoulder. So you're turning, you're opening up the left side of your chest here, and just placing the back of that hand on your low back for thread the needle. Hips are high, engaging the core here. Right hand is flat on the mat, and just breathe. Then release that left hand back down to the mat. Take a deep inhale, come up, raise that right hand up to the sky, and place it back down on the mat. Now we're going to do the other side. So take a deep inhale with that left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread that left hand behind your right arm. Bring your left shoulder and left ear down to the mat. Your right forearm to the mat, or you can place that right hand on your low back to take a bind. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your right hand back down to the mat. Inhale that left arm up to the sky, and exhale, bring it back down to the mat. Now we're going to go into puppy pose, which is a great pose for the shoulders, working the shoulders and your back, upper back. So your hips stay high, you're engaging your core, and just walk your hands out in front of you and slowly lower your forehead to the mat. Now you can rest on your third eye on your forehead, or if that's comfortable for you, see if you can get your chin to the mat and rest your chin on the mat. You'll feel the stretch in the front of the torso and in your shoulder blades. Take a few deep breaths here. Now we're going to walk our hands back to tabletop, and we're going to take a few deep breaths in child's pose. So your big toes are overlapping, your knees are hip distance apart, shifting your hips back towards your feet, lower your torso between your knees, and just bring your forehead down to the mat. Your arms can be out in front of you. If it's uncomfortable on your shoulders, you can bring them back behind you. Resting your forehead on that third eye. Focus on your breath. And then come back up to tabletop. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists here and your hips are over your knees. We're just going to flip our toes and hover your knees about 6 inches off the mat. Really engage your core here, engaging your thighs and strengthening your arms and your wrists here. You're focusing on really keeping those thighs engaged, holding them up over the mat, hovering. Then bring your knees to the mat, flip your toes, and just shift your hips back towards your heels. Reach your fingers out in front of you, your arms out, stretching the upper torso. Then come up to tabletop, flip your toes, engage your core, hover those knees about 6 inches off the mat, engaging your thighs here, working on strengthening your wrists, your arms, your core. You'll feel it in your thighs here. Then slowly lower your knees to the mat, flip your toes, press those hips back towards your heels, and reach your hands, your arms out in front of you. You can bring your forehead down to the mat. Take a few deep breaths here. Then come back up to tabletop. And we're going to hover our knees again, but from there we're going to go into our first downward facing dog. So flip your toes, hover those knees. Then slowly shift your hips back towards your heels and begin to straighten your legs. Have a slight bend in your knees for the first downward facing dog. You can pedal out your feet. And maybe as you're pedaling your feet, shift your hips from right to left. So if your left knee's bent, shift your hips to the right. And then if your right knee is bent, shift them to the left. You'll really feel it in the back of the legs here. And then come up high on your toes. pressing your hips high, pressing your chest towards your thighs. See if you can sink your heels down a little bit more. And then bend your knees, come up on your toes, and shift those hips high towards the sky. And see if you can bring those heels down. One more time, bend your knees, come up on your toes, send those hips high, pressing your chest towards your thighs. See if you can sink those heels down a bit. Inhale, look up between your hands, and exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Have a slight bend in your knees here. Then inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. We'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana in mountain pose. Now we're going to come to the front of our mat, and for the sun salutations, we're going to start out with chair in the beginning of each sun salutation. So whichever you are more comfortable doing, whether your feet be slightly apart for more balance or to have your feet together. We're going to start out, take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead, take your gaze up for a slight back bend. And then exhale, chair. Check in with your knees, make sure they're not over your toes. Your weight's on the back of your feet. You should be able to lift up your toes in chair. You're engaging your thighs here, engage your core. Reach out through your fingertips. Then bring your hands to heart center and gently twist to the right. If you're comfortable twisting, you might want to bring that left elbow to the outside of that right knee. Engaging the thighs here, engaging the core. Your gaze is to the right, looking straight ahead as you twist. Looking to the right. Then come back to center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, forward fold. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale to a half lift, flat back. Exhale, plank. Plant your hands, engage your core, pull your belly button in. If you want to come to your knees, you can do that now and flip your toes. You're still working on strengthening the arms and the wrist and your core, or you can stay in plank. Now, keeping your elbows by your side with control, making sure your pelvis doesn't drop first. You can come to your knees if you want first, or bring your chin and chest down with control. Flip your toes, press into your palms, and come up for cobra. Your shoulder blades are back and down. Your gaze is straight ahead. Your toes are pointed back. Exhale back down to the mat. Flip your toes and push back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, sit back in that chair. Make sure your knees are level. You can see your toes. Engage your core here, engaging your thighs. Then bring your hands to heart center and twist to the left. If you're comfortable here, you can bring that right elbow to the outside of that left knee. Take a few deep breaths here. Then come back to center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank. Engage your core, pull your belly button in. You can come to your knees and flip your toes or hold plank. Then with control, bring your chin and chest down between your hands, keeping your elbows close to your side. Flip your toes and come up for cobra. Shoulder blades are back and down, lifting the chest. Be careful your low back. Take a few deep breaths here. Your gaze is straight ahead. Exhale back down to the mat. Flip your toes. Push back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here, pressing the hips high. Inhale that right foot up and back for three-legged dog. Bend your knee and open that right knee to the side, opening that right hip. Keeping the leg bent. Your hips are stacked over each other. Then come back to center and bring that right knee in towards your chest. Shifting your weight forward, and exhale, bring it back to three-legged dog. Inhale, bring that right knee in towards your chest. Exhale, kick it out for three-legged dog. One more. Inhale, bring it in towards your chest. Shift your weight forward and see if you can bring that right foot between your hands. You can walk or step that foot between your hands. However it gets there is fine. Slide that left foot back. Drop your back knee. Flip your back toes. Bring your hands to that right thigh. And then bringing your hips pressed forward, bring your arms to goalpost. Raising a slight back bend, raise your gaze up towards the sky. And then raise your arms up towards the sky for low lunge. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your hands to heart center. Place that left hand next to your right foot. Take a deep inhale, raise that right arm up towards the sky. Make sure that front knee is over that front ankle. And take a few deep breaths here. Then release that right hand back down to the mat. Flip your back toes, lift that back knee, and we're going to step back to downward facing dog. So step that front foot to meet the back and come into downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here, pressing your hips high. Inhale, raise that left foot up and back for three-legged dog. Then bend that left knee, open that left hip. Then come back to center, hips facing the mat, knee is still bent. Bring that left knee in towards your chest, rocking forward, and then exhale back into three-legged dog. Inhale, bring that left knee in towards your chest. Exhale, straighten it for three-legged dog. One more. Inhale, forward towards your chest. Exhale, lengthen. Really working the core here. Then inhale, bring that left knee in towards your chest. Shift your weight forward. See if you can place that left foot between your hands. Slide that right leg back. Go on the back knee, flip your back toes. Bring your hands to that left thigh. Make sure your hips are pressing forward and your left knee is over that left ankle. You're not directly on that back knee. That back knee is slightly back away from your core, away from your body. Then when you're ready, bring your arms to goalpost. Take your gaze up for a slight back bend, lifting the chest. And then when you're ready, raise your arms up to the sky. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your hands to heart center and place your right hand down on the mat next to your foot. Take a deep inhale, raise that left arm up to the sky. Take a few deep breaths here. You should have a straight line from your right hand to your left, feeling the twist in that right hip. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring that left hand back down to the mat. Flip your back toes, lift that back knee, and we're going to step back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here, pressing the hips high. Inhale, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. We'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana and mountain pose. Now place your right foot towards your toes towards the front of the mat. And then your left foot is behind. And your feet are placed as if they're on railroad tracks. Both of your toes are facing the front of the mat. We're going to go into pyramid pose, and you should be able to feel the stretch up the back of the legs. If you don't, you might have to either make your stands wider or bring that foot in a little closer. But make sure both of your toes are facing the front of the mat and your feet are and your feet are as if they're on railroad tracks. Interlace your hands behind your back, pressing your hands towards the mat, bringing those shoulders back and down. Take your gaze up for a slight back bend. And on the exhale, begin to hinge from your hips, keeping a flat back. When you get halfway, stop. Press your hands back a little more, shoulders back a little more. Pull that belly button in, lengthening the spine, really reaching out through the crown of the head. And then exhale, forward fold. Take a few deep breaths here. Your hands may go up as you forward fold. That's fine. They can go up towards the sky. Or you can place them on your low back if that's uncomfortable. And you should feel the stretch up the back of both legs. Take a few deep breaths. Then inhale, slowly roll back up to center. Release your hands, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to step that left foot back, parallel with the back of the mat. turn your hips towards the long side of the mat. We're going to go into warrior two. So you want your front heel in alignment with your back arch. You want your core, your torso centered, so the weight's evenly distributed on both feet. Put a bend in that front knee. Make sure you can see your big toes. And then when you're ready, extend your arms out to the sides, making sure your back arm is level with your front, and you roll your shoulder blades back and down for warrior two. Engage your thighs here and engage your feet. Engage your feet as if you're trying to bring the mat together. So you're engaging your feet here, engaging your thighs, engaging your core. Hips are facing the long side of the mat. Take a few deep breaths here. Then flip your front palm, drop your back arm, and raise that right arm up for reverse warrior. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale back to warrior two. Straighten that front knee. Shift your hips back. Reach that right arm as far as you can. And then bring the back of that right hand to your calf, to your ankle. If you can't get there, on your thigh, just knot your knee. Then raise that left arm up to the sky. You want a straight line from your right hand to your left. Your left shoulder is back. So you want your shoulders stacked over each other. And just take a few deep breaths here. Inhale back to warrior two. You'll feel the weight on that back outer edge foot and on the front foot. And then straighten that front knee and release your arms to your side. And just walk your feet in a little bit. And we're just going to interlace our hands. You can place them on your low back. Take a deep inhale, take your gaze up. And on that, we're going to go into a wide-legged forward fold. So inhale, take your gaze up. And on the exhale, hinge from your hips, coming forward. When you get halfway, stop. Engage your core and lengthen the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands down to the mat and you might have to walk your feet out a little more. Walk your hands out in front of you. Take a deep inhale and press into your palms of your hands and take your gaze up forward, lifting your chest and your head up. And then exhale, forward fold. Get deeper into that fold. You can walk your hands back. And then walk your hands towards that right foot. Put a bend in that right knee. Feeling the stretch in the inner thigh. Then straighten that right knee. Walk your hands through center to the left foot. Put a bend in that left knee, feeling the stretch in the inner thigh. Then straighten that left knee, walk your hands back to center. Place your right hand under your face. Take a deep inhale, raise that left arm up to the sky. Exhale that left hand back down to the mat. Place the left hand under your face. Take a deep inhale, reach that right arm up towards the sky. You should feel the stretch in the inner left thigh here and feeling the stretch. Then bring your hand back down to the mat. Place your hands on your hips and inhale, slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. And now walk your feet in a bit. Now we're going to go into pyramid on the other side. So your left foot is towards the front or back of the mat. Toes facing the front of the mat. Your right foot is behind, toes facing the same direction, looking as if you're on railroad tracks, the width apart. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Really press those shoulders back and down. Inhale, take your gaze up for a slight back bend. Exhale, hinge forward. And stop halfway. When you're halfway, press those shoulders back more. Engage your core, lengthening your spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll back up to center. Release your hands, bring your hands to heart center. Step that right foot back parallel with the back of the mat. Put a bend in that left knee. Hips are faced the long side of the mat. We'll go into warrior two. Checking the arms, shoulder blades back and down. Make sure you can see your big toe. Take a few deep breaths here. Flip your front palm, drop your back arm, raise that left arm up to the sky for reverse warrior. Take a few deep breaths here. Come back to warrior two. Straighten that front knee, shift that right hip back, reach your left arm as far as you can. Take a deep inhale. And exhale, bring the back of that, top of that left hand to left shin, right hand up towards the sky or to your ankle. You just don't want to cave into that side, that left side. Pressing the right hip back, keeping a straight line from your right hand to your left. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale back to warrior two. Engaging the feet, pulling the mat as if you're trying to pull the mat together, engaging your legs here. And then straighten that front leg, turn your feet towards the sides of the mat and release your hands. Walk your feet in, and we'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana and mountain pose. And we'll come to the front of the mat. Take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank. Engage your core here. And we're just going to slowly lower down to the mat. You can come to your knees if you want. We're going to go into crocodile pose, so just lower down to the mat. Then stack your forearms in front of you. Your toes are facing the corners of the mat, so the insides of your legs are on the mat. And then just rest your forehead on your forearms for crocodile pose. Take a few deep breaths here. This is a great pose for breathing, for your diaphragm here. So if you ever want to just go into a relaxing pose and work on your breathing, this crocodile pose is a great pose. Now place your hands beside you palms facing down. Forehead is on the mat, and come to the tops of your feet. Toes are pointed back. We're going to go into locust pose. So for locust pose, we're going to lift our head, shoulders, arms, and legs and feet off the mat. So we're going to do a cleansing breath, and then we're going to lift for locust pose. So take a deep inhale and exhale. And inhale, lift, pressing your hips towards the mat, really reaching out through your fingertips. Your shoulders are back, your legs are engaged, pressing the pelvis towards the mat, toes are pointed. And exhale, release back down to the mat. And inhale, lift, really reach out through the fingertips. Gaze is straight ahead, bringing those shoulders back. And exhale, release. And one more, inhale, lift. Last one. And exhale, release. Now from here we're going to lift up onto our forearms. We're going to practice bow pose. We're going to go into bow pose. So you can try one leg at a time. If you can do both, that's great. If this pose doesn't feel right, just come into child's pose. So first we're going to lift we're going to bend our right leg, bringing that foot towards your body. See if you can take your right hand and hold on to that right foot. If you can't reach the foot, maybe you can reach the leg. If you can't reach it at all, that's fine. A strap would help, or a belt. If you could put it around your foot, it would lengthen so you could keep that up there. If you can get that right foot into the hand, you're pressing that foot into your hand. And then see if you can get the left foot into the left hand, pressing the feet into your hands. You're pressing your hips into the mat. You're looking straight ahead. If you're comfortable here, see if you can lift those thighs up off the mat, really pressing in to the mat with your hips. And then if you're comfortable here, maybe you can rock back and forth. It's a process. You can start with one foot. You can start with a strap, put it around the foot and hold it with the hand. And maybe you can reach your feet higher towards the sky. Wherever you're at is fine. This is a great stretch for the thighs. And then bring your legs down, release your hands, and we're just going to press back into child's pose. Take a few deep breaths here. Now we're going to come to seated position to staff pose. And just counterbalance that bow pose. Take a deep inhale, really ground down through your sit bones, lengthen your spine. It's like bending your knees, your feet are flexed. And then on the exhale, slowly walk your hands forward to forward fold. Engage your core, pull the belly button in, lengthen the spine, and then see if you can exhale into the fold a little more. Take a few deep breaths here. Then slowly walk your hands back to center. And we're going to come onto our backs. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. Then place your feet flat on the mat. Bring your right ankle over that left knee. Extend your arms out to the side. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, slowly roll onto that right hip. Bring in that left hip, bring in that right foot down to the mat, and take your gaze over your right hand. So you're rolling onto the left hip, bringing the right foot down to the mat, and taking your gaze over your right hand. Take a few deep breaths here. Then slowly roll back up to center. Place the right foot back down on the mat. Bring your left ankle over your right knee. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, roll onto that right hip, bringing that left foot down to the mat. Keeping the shoulder blades flat on the mat, and take your gaze over your left hand. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale back up to center. Release your hands by your side. Bring that left foot back down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. And when you're ready, just extend your feet up towards the sky for legs up the wall. You can point and flex your feet. And then hug your knees into your chest, and we'll get ready for Shavasana. So let your legs long out on the mat. Let your feet fall out to the corners of the mat. Tuck your shoulder blades under, arms away from the body, palms facing up. And just begin to focus on your breath. Feeling your belly rise and fall on the inhale and exhale. Gently closing your eyes. Breathing in and out through your nose. Filling your lungs up with air and completely emptying your lungs. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes and move your head from side to side. And when you're ready, roll on to your favorite side. And when you're ready, with your eyes closed, come up to seated position, hands at heart center, thumbs at your sternum, slight bow to your head. Yoga is not about where you have been. It's about the present moment and the direction which you're going. yoga is a journey, and thank you for sharing your journey with me today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We had a glitch in the beginning at 9 o'clock practice, so this is at a different time. So most of you will be watching the recording of this. I'm really sorry for anyone who is watching, and I had to shut the video off. But I hope you have a great day, and if you have any questions, please just send us a message. Enjoy this beautiful day, and namaste.